It's a small town, but it was a big deal.
You know, there's a lot of southern Idaho cities which wouldn't exist if it weren't for water, or at least access to it, and some who almost didn't exist because of, well, too much of it, like Twin Falls. There's another town along the Snake River that almost suffered a similar fate, waterlogged, if it weren't for the willingness of its residents to be so mobile. A century ago, American Falls was moved not once, but twice. Both were because, well, it was about keeping up with the times, but the second reason, well, that was more about keeping out of the way, as a dam built to power Power County and beyond would highlight how deeply rooted the residents, well, they wanted to remain there.
To know the history,
Moved here from England at the end of 2010.
you need to know the author who wrote it.
I found pioneer history so interesting.
Celia Clausen was curious about how the area came to be.
I started to ask some of the older customers, how did your family come here? What was it like here before? And they didn't know.
While it seemed building a dam was easier than finding someone to document its history, after 10 years, the town finally found someone to do it.
10 months of all my spare time and time that wasn't so spare. I took it on and traveled back in time.
Back in time to the 1800s, where the first version of American Falls was built on the west side of the Snake River.
A few people had kind of set up a shack here and there, but when the railroad came, that's when it really sprang into something more like a frontier town.
The Oregon Short Line Railway arrived in the 1880s, but soon people realized there wasn't much growth on the west side, and they would have to cross the river by walking on the railroad bridge.
So they moved the train depot over to the east side, and what little there was of the town moved with it. So that was the first time American Falls moved.
And it wouldn't be the last. By 1908,
people started saying this is going to be the site of a big reservoir. And meanwhile, American Falls kept growing. They were really excited about the thought of having a dam, but they didn't really think that through, that would flood their town.
the town on the riverside became quite established. There were grand hotels, big storefronts. It's where D11 banks began, and even Safeway, which was called Skaggs at the time, where the family would buy lots straight from the train and sell it for cheaper. American Falls was booming.
Everybody had heard of it. The slogan was, keep your eye on American Falls. We were in newspapers in New York, in Chicago, in the really big cities. American Falls was on everybody's lips.
But all of it had to be moved by the end of 1925. People had a choice, have their homes and businesses moved on wheels, or sell it to the government.
Overall, they didn't really have much choice because it would just be flooded if they stayed there.
Those that moved their buildings didn't have the easiest time, especially the Gardner Hotel.
It got stuck. Multiple moving outfits broke.
It was the largest government relocation project of its time, and more than 300 structures were moved or rebuilt. By April 1926, the Bureau of Reclamation completed the 94-foot-high dam 60 days ahead of schedule.
Most of all, people were excited. They thought that they had a brand new start with this new town, that it was going to be a huge city.
While it stayed a small town, its history is as solid as the concrete, as deep as it is tall, on the Oneida Milling Grain Elevator, still sitting in the reservoir today, a reminder of the town's past. And in September, as the level of water in the reservoir drops,
the foundations of the town emerge. If you look at enough pictures and you walk down there, it's almost like you can see the old-fashioned people walking around, the old buildings still there.
Around town, some of the old buildings still stand. And the new ones, like Morningwood Coffee and the Dam Pizza Place, care about the dam legacy. The school mascot? It's even a beaver. Also embracing the history is Kay Bailey Terry, who lives in one of the oldest homes in American Falls.
It goes back to when my parents bought it from the Johnson family. And this picture I'm holding shows a picture of Mrs. Johnson and her husband, Mr. Johnson, who ran the power plant.
She says they've made very little changes to the home and hopes the community, like herself, keeps preserving the past so people have a chance to reflect on how far the town has come.
When you're young, you're so busy trying to think about now that you don't really take the time to step back, and we need to step back so we can appreciate what we have today.
And while the dam still holds strong, preserving the town's history is getting harder. The town's museum is in a building where the foundation is crumbling.
One problem. Our building has been got a problem. It's falling apart. So our museum items are still here, but we're hoping the building's going to hold until we can get all the items in another place.
Clausen, Hubbs, and Bailey Terry are all on the museum board. They, along with commissioners, are working to find a space, especially as they plan to throw a big 100-year celebration on American Falls Day, August 2nd. The theme's called A Town on the Move. Pretty fitting, right? And they say it would be nice to be able to have a place for people to go learn about the history. And I have to admit my bias here.
Yeah.
I love this town.
I bet.
But I grew up here.
Exactly.
So.
And you're even in this big old book.
Yeah, we got some Funks. We even have some Isaacs, which are both sides of my family. This is the book she created, 600 pages.
Wow.
And she's trying to make another one just for the centennial. I believe it's supposed to be a little bit slimmer.
I was going to say, that's a big
Lighter
book
read.
for a small town.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so the museum, it's crumbling. What's causing that?
So
is this age?
It's just age. So
Okay.
this building used to be the old hospital.
Okay.
They actually moved the bricks from the reservoir to where it's at now. It's just gone through a couple different things, a community center, the hospital at the time, but now it's the museum. So it's moldy and the foundation's
moldy, so
falling
some
apart.
water also causing some problems there, apparently.
Yeah,
All right.
so financials, that's the next step.
All right, thank you very much, Hunter. That was interesting.